is going on, Jets Nation, and welcome back to the Flight 5. We are just a little bit under 2 weeks away from the NFL Draft, and we're steamrolling ahead, and we're going to hit on the defensive side of the ball this week and continue the Marty Madness. But as always, joined by the crew, Wesley, Frank, of course, Bill, and myself. We're rolling through. First topic of the day. We want to get right into it because just recently it came out on Pro Football Talk. Mike Florio reported that apparently now the Jets are throwing Mark Sanchez's name into the Darrelle Revis trade rumors with the Buccaneers. The first trade reported was a first, a second, and a conditional 2014 pick. Now they're saying that Mark Sanchez's name is going to be into the deal, trying to make the Buccaneers take his contract almost as if they do in basketball with the expiring contracts and taking salary dumps. It looks like the Jets are trying to make the Buccaneers take that back in return. So there's a lot to get into on that. First, that has to lead you to believe, one, maybe is Tampa Bay, up in the air in regards to their franchise quarterback, Josh Freeman. What does that have to say for him? Two, will the Jets lose out on compensation if they have to trade Revis? So we'll say, do Tampa say, okay, we'll take Sanchez back, but we're not giving you that conditional second, the 2013 pick, or 2014 pick. Three, what does that mean? Does Tampa Bay really think Sanchez can come in and be the answer for them in terms of their future quarterback? And four, now we already know that the Buccaneers are at least $33 million under the cap. So they have a ton of room to get Revis under contract, have Sanchez, and swallow his contract for this year, and then move on from that. But let's get right into it, guys. I mean, this is huge. It seems like the Jets, if the rumors are true, and there's people questioning it here and there, it seems like the Jets are really trying to go with the addition by subtraction here. Are you okay, Wes? And I'll start with you. Are you okay with kind of losing some compensation in terms of draft picks, which would be trading Sanchez instead of getting that extra pick back? You get rid of Sanchez. Are you okay with that?
No, I'm not okay with that. And I'm going to be pretty firm in my beliefs and my stance here about it. I'm going to go on a limb right now and think that I think Mark Sanchez is due for a great year this year, a breakout year in his fifth year. As crazy as that sounds, we were talking about it today in the little bit of the production meetings there. I think he's going to have a complete turnaround from touchdown to interception ratio, complete flip-flop, 26 and 13. You can mark me down as of today, April 12th, and I'm saying April 13th, whatever day it is. I'm not entirely sure. But the fact remains that today I sit here and think that Mark Sanchez is going to break out and have a great year for multiple reasons. Now, what do I think if that's addition by subtraction? I don't think that's the case. I think you've seen John Nidzik come out and reiterate the point that he's going to put a lifeline and put a huge emphasis on this NFL draft. Not this one, but in the years coming, too, to kind of have a pipeline of bringing in this young, talented, cheap players. And I think that's where you need to start to look to build this team. I think if you're going to be losing a little bit of trade compensation, one of these draft picks, if that second-round pick drops to a third, fourth-round pick in this year's draft, I'm not sure how much that helps you. But to have 4 or 5 picks in the top 60, I think is huge, especially if we're going into a quote-unquote rebuilding year with the Jets. And I still think that the team looks a hell of a lot better with Mark Sanchez on the roster, whether he's starter or not, than what he does without the team.
What do you think, Frank? I mean, I know pretty much all of us are anti-Sanchez here except for Wes, so I know you have an opinion on
What were you doing before this show, Wes? You all right, bro?
Yeah, man, I'm getting it in. I'm feeling
all right.
I'm feeling it.
All right. I could not disagree more with anybody than Wesley Sykes right now, to be quite honest. I mean, that is ridiculous. We are not a better team with Mark Sanchez on our roster. That's a definite in my eyes. I'd be willing to go this far. I'd be willing to say I'd want to lose our 39th selection in the second round to get rid of Sanchez. I would lose the 39th pick, say we don't even have a pick, and with that, Sanchez is off the team. Because in my eyes, I would love nothing more than for Woody Johnson to get out his little checkbook and write $17 million, give it to Sanchez because he's owed bonuses, and we would lose $4 million cap this year. We can arrange that to happen, and I would love for that to happen. That'd be me, but for me, if Sanchez is in this deal, I'd be willing to lose a second-round pick in it. So let's say that, Tampa Bay was offering a first, second, third for a Revis, but if we give them Sanchez, they take off the second. I'm totally fine with that. Not only that, I would love to just get rid of the guy as quick as possible in any way shape, or form besides for a first-round pick. I'd almost be willing to go 2 second rounds this year and next year. That's the vibe he brings to the organization.
Wow.
Hey, man, I can't disagree. What do you got, Bill?
Look, he's owed money from us, okay? So why sacrifice compensation? I don't see he's a commodity here. You don't have to sacrifice compensation. You're losing Darrelle Revis in this trade anyway. So I'm trying to maximize my return on losing Darrelle Revis. Now, if adding Mark Sanchez just to get him off the team is going to take away from my return for Darrelle Revis, then no, thanks.
Thanks, Bill.
But your return might be your return might be
there is no return. You can get rid of Sanchez simply by sitting him on the bench and making him the backup. There's no reason to pay him money to leave and to as well as losing compensation to get him to leave. That doesn't make sense at all.
My logic comes with this. I think that Rex Ryan is on a short leash. I want to see Rex Ryan coach a team that doesn't have Mark Sanchez on it. I think some great things could potentially happen.
I agree, but I think all that I want to see Rex. I want to see the same thing too. I want to see Rex Ryan coach a team without Mark Sanchez as a starter, and I also want to see him coach a good team too. So just by getting rid of him, you're hamstringing the rest of the team from being a good team. So I want to see him coach a team, not necessarily without Mark Sanchez on the roster, but not him starting at quarterback.
I just think that he's just always the elephant in the room because everybody is just convinced that he's going to be the starter. Now, whether you honestly believe that or it's negativity or it's just going to happen because it's fact because he may be the best option. But I just think as long as he is here, there's always the fear of he's going to be the starter at some point. Whether they anoint Tebow or Garrard and Garrard gets hurt and Tebow blows it 1 game or 2 game and he sucks and Sanchez comes back. It's like Rex will always have that little, like, whatever you want to call it on his shoulder that, okay, I have Mark there. He's a binky. He's a binky for Rex. He'll go back to him. I can agree with Frank and I can agree with you, so it's kind of hard where I'm in the middle there. I would love to I wouldn't give a second-round pick to trade him, but I would kind of, I would love to use a little wiggle room and say, okay, Tampa, instead of you giving us a 1-2 and a conditional 2014, give us a 1, a 4 and a conditional 2014, and you take Sanchez back. I'd be willing to do that. I absolutely would, just for him being gone, because I agree with Frank in the fact that his aura just brings a bad aura. And
I agree with that too.
To this team, and whether or not he can go somewhere else and do good, we'll get into that. And whether or not the Jet fans are just jaded by the downfall of Mark Sanchez, I just think he is done here, so we just have to move on because he will never be who we want him and who we need him to be here.
I think too.
He has to go.
I think also, I don't think he could be a backup because I think with him on that sideline, with his 4 playoff wins under his belt, even though we know, and maybe this half knows, maybe this half doesn't know, which is fine.
He's pointing to Wes.
Come on.
We know. I mean, the kid was never really that good. I mean, let's just be quite honest. I mean, first year, 12 touchdowns, 20 interceptions.
A backup quarterback, if that's the case, then. If
but
you don't
he's
think
not
he's that good. I mean,
he just has too much
4 playoff wins that you were saying.
That's what I mean. But he has
how does that differentiate for him from Tim Tebow?
It's going to be an unfair situation, I think, for someone else starting because with Mark Sanchez just sitting there as a backup, I just think they'll be so quick to pull the plug on that new guy.
How does that differ from Tim Tebow?
It doesn't, but it does. What? I want to go new.
Snap at starter though.
I want to go new.
Right, but this was supposed to be the artificial competition that was going to be brought out. There's someone you wanted to push Mark Sanchez into driving him to kind of get that tenacity out of him that we kind of haven't really seen from him.
How about 4 years later we can just say, honestly, there is no drive in Mark Sanchez.
All right, but this is my question. How does the quarterback depth chart look without Mark Sanchez currently right now on this roster? How comfortable do you feel?
It looks just as bad as it does with Mark Sanchez.
Right, but you know what? I don't think it looks bad. I think having him under there as a safety net is something that.
What do you mean as a safety net, though?
Because you know that you have a guy who has won you games in this under this head coach on this team.
Do you think you can get
a recent history?
But I mean, do you still? I mean, look at the baggage.
You don't know that about Tim Tebow. You don't know that about.
But it's just
you don't know that about Greg McElroy.
I understand that, and I agree with you in that sense. You don't know what Tebow and McElroy, even though I think Tebow will win, but whatever. You don't know what they'll be able to do from a winning perspective with the Jets because Sanchez has won with the Jets. He has 4 playoff wins. That's my point, though. I think having him on the sideline, there's so much baggage right there. Like just you look over. over and like, wow, he's sitting right there. Like, oh man, like you just like look right away and he's sitting there all pissed off with a clipboard. I just think it's like it doesn't breed like new winning like forward thinking. Excuse me, not winning, but like a forward thinking, like a progressive movement for this offense. I still think like with him there, it's just like I'll give you a perfect example.
It'll never be over till he's gone.
I'll give you I'll give you a perfect
until he's not visible.
Right.
Perfect example. You have a CEO. He gets demoted to manager. He's still there, and he used to be the CEO, but now he's the manager. It's almost like, even though he'd be a really good manager, you almost have to get rid of him because it's just like it brings a bad vibe to the team.
Well, I guess I can kind of see what you're saying and to equate it to like an NFL standpoint is that a lot of reasons when the new GM gets brought in, that's why they don't keep the head coach.
Exactly.
There's not a difference. I can
there's
see
like
that,
a difference of just
that.
vision and vibe, and it's just I just think.
But you have a guy who hasn't played quarterback since 2010. You have a guy who's only had one career start, one career NFL start in Greg McElroy. You have a guy who's also haven't started in over a year at the quarterback position in Tim Tebow. How confident do you feel?
And Garrard's 2 years.
Wes, you'd have to bring somebody else in that case, and then it becomes.
But who's out there?
I know
it's Matt Leinart that's left, and you're looking at guys in the draft.
And that goes to my next question: is do you think Idzik has maybe not so much Tannenbaum did, but Idzik might have. He might see Sanchez in a completely different light. You know what I mean? Do you think maybe Idzik has totally turned the page on Sanchez, which is why he's putting him in a trade?
And maybe
he doesn't. He doesn't even see him as the viable backup that you're trying to make him out to be. You know what I mean? He did turn the ball over 32 times last year, and not even in the top 32 out of starters in QBR or some kind of stat like that. And so I mean, maybe John Idzik doesn't see him even as a viable backup.
I think it's obvious that Idzik doesn't, because from day one when Sanchez was brought up, he didn't say anything about him. All he said, he wouldn't give the slightest bit that Sanchez was going to be the starter. He would said competition. Now you see Sanchez for the first time ever in even the past 2 years, let's say, when he's been awful. This is the first time you really hear about Sanchez being moved or even being kind of like benched. I mean, I know he was benched, but it was for what? The one start, and then he was brought back. He was never really benched, but
benched for a couple
a game and a half.
Yeah, this is the first time where like you finally hear about, wow, Sanchez really might be gone. Like this is Idzik. This is an Idzik move. Absolutely, he has his hands all over this Revis situation.
Yeah, and
I think Idzik wants zero
new regime move.
Completely over
new regime
Mark Sanchez. He wants nothing to do with him. I think Rex, somewhere in Rex's head, he still wants Sanchez around.
I don't think Rex is pushing anything.
He's comfortable. I don't know if he truly believes that Sanchez can do it, but Idzik, I think it's clear as day that he wants nothing to do with Sanchez.
Well, listen, they're not gonna release Sanchez.
No,
they can't. There's too much money tied. I would love it for it to happen, but they're not. You know, Woody's not paying $17 million, so they have to find another way to get rid of him. And this is like the first indication us fans have that, you know.
It's in talks.
They're looking into finding ways of getting rid of Sanchez. So it's interesting. Now, how true are these reports? Who the hell knows?
Right. It is Mike Florio.
I mean, it's important to point out that our guy Hans
Absolutely.
here at It's Oasis is always kind of the level head of the group here. He just
really
tweeted us and said, "Hey guys, how about not putting 100% faith in an article from a guy who I wouldn't trust to bring me expletive toilet paper?"
Oh,
you know, kind of. I'm not going as far as he is, but it's definitely this is the first report that we've heard.
Right.
We don't want to jump too much into it. I think this is just fun as fans and football fans to kind of look over and kind of speculate a little bit, because at the end of the day, that's what this show is all about.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Why are we questioning articles now about Sanchez and we're not questioning Revis ones?
I think everybody questions Revis.
I'm not. I don't want to open it. I don't want to open Pandora's box there.
But we do want to hear, speaking of Wes getting onto the fan point, call us. Let us know what you think of this article and just a thought. And even if it's not true, just the idea. It's a fun topic to talk about. Should they include Sanchez in a deal? Should the Jets completely cut ties? We always want to hear from you guys. It's 914-595-4871. Tweet us as you've been. We've got a ton of responses on the Twitter. It's at 5 and Live. And definitely in the chat room as well. Skype us too, Hans and Brenda, as always. Whomever else wants to Skype in, let's hear from you, because it's interesting and we all have very strong opinions. Wes completely wants to keep Sanchez out of this trade. Frank would trade Sanchez along with the 7 picks that we have just to get him out of here.
You're damn right.
Trade Mark Sanchez for a bag of baked Lay's.
Get rid of the.
And he hates baked Lay's.
I hate baked Lay's. Oh, how can you eat baked Lay's?
That's what I'm saying. Who likes baked Lay's? Tastes like air.
I love baked Lay's.
They give you anal leakage.
Ooh,
How
stop.
do you know?
I've read stories.
I already have it, so it's all right.
That's the Big Mac and quarter pounder you're eating with them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the issue, right?
How about Rob today? Our friend Rob.
Oh my
the
God.
triple.
9 patty fatties.
The 9 patty fatties.
Oh boy.
That's
Where was that
insane.
from?
Where do you go? I don't know. We gotta text him, see if he calls in and talks about his 9 fatty patties.
I don't have my phone.
He's probably in a food coma right now, so
He said
someone should check in
he
on
said
him.
that as soon as he ate it, he had to lay down because he felt.
How
Dude,
can you
you
eat
feel
9
like a
patties?
I have
That's
no idea.
ridiculous.
I don't
Wounded
know.
bear, but we're digressing off the point.
It's
We're
all
getting
right.
back. I think there was a great topic that we had talked about in our production meetings. A great point that Bill brought up, which I can't just say that enough because he brings up a lot of good points.
Yeah, okay.
That doesn't get enough.
Like
credit.
Tavon Austin shoot the 9th pick.
But, you know, as Jet fans and as people who watch this team consistently and have grown up watching Mark Sanchez, are we a little bit jaded to his bad side? Are we just always safe to assume that he's not going to be able to produce no matter ever again, whether it's in a New York Jet uniform or otherwise? I happen to think that is the case. I think Jet fans are just blinded by their pure hatred for this guy. And just don't even want to see him get any better.
Wesley
Don't
hates
think
saying
there's nothing that he can do to get better.
There are other
in his NFL
fans.
career.
I mean, there's other fans on the
plenty of other guys
opposite
who have
that-
had the Renaissance period. You look at quarterbacks like Jim Plunkett, Doug Flutie, just a
Right.
couple of guys off the top of my head who I'm thinking of right here, who made that kind of renaissance late in their career. Vinny Testaverde had late runs.
But you know what it is, though?
It can be done. It can happen.
Not here.
Not here, absolutely not. And that's my point. And I question, I question it. Like, can it be done somewhere else for him? And I have my doubts, but I think it can be. And I certainly think that at least one out of the 31 other teams in the NFL, and it may be Tampa Bay, it may think that they can make something about him. I mean, he was the 5th overall pick in the draft. He
does have some talent.
Can we
does-
talk though
did
about
have some
this?
talent,
Let's
and,
talk about from a football scouting perspective, since we are getting into the NFL draft. If we're going to talk about Sanchez, let's scout the guy a little bit.
Okay.
Why not? I mean, we're talking hypotheticals like, oh, he might win, he could win, he has in this. Let's get into the body of work of him. The guy's
fair.
6 foot, 6'1".
6'1".
When he came into the league in 2009, I like the fact that he was avoiding.
And hold on, he's 6'1", closer to 6'2",
Yeah.
so he's 6'1" and change.
6'1", okay. He's 6'1". He throws a bad out route. He doesn't throw it out because he doesn't have the arm strength to do it. Now, when he came into the league, what I liked about him was he was avoiding sacks, and he looked like he wasn't really that nervous under pressure. Then eventually, when the O-line got deteriorated with Mr. Hunter, then you saw Sanchez who was shell-shocked. Now the guy's so worried when he says hike about a guy coming through hitting him than he is even about completing a
Well, it
pass.
wasn't just Wayne
And-
Hunter. That was
Well,
Shaw Ferguson.
let me get
That
into
was
let me get into a little
that,
bit.
yeah.
Glad.
So what happened with that was he got shell-shocked. Now, can he get over that? I don't know. That's the point. He has to get over, Mark Sanchez, when he says hike, if he can get over the fact that he's looking downfield, scanning the field, finding open receivers rather than worrying about getting hit from a D end or a D tackle or a linebacker coming to blitz or a safety, then we're talking. Right now, with this New York Jets team, I don't think he's ever going to get over it. I just don't. I think he needs to almost find a new way of doing things.
That's almost like a death sentence too, because that just speaks to his toughness. That speaks to toughness and comfortability in the pocket, and that can be something that he necessarily never had. Because look, there's been plenty of quarterbacks that have played this game with bad to almost pitiful offensive lines and have been able to play. The Jets' offensive line, I wouldn't even say they were borderline really good.
Aaron Rodgers and Ben Roethlisberger have had terrible offensive line.
Oh, we could talk about Pittsburgh all day.
I won't disagree.
So I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I thought
no, it's
you were
okay. Just
finishing
quick.
up.
I think it's something to his. To who he is as a quarterback is he took those first couple hits, the first kind of little speed bumpy hit, he just doesn't have the toughness
it's like
to
when
come
Carson
back.
Palmer tore his ACL. It's the same thing. Carson Palmer tore his ACL, then he started thinking about it. Then you saw a regression in Carson Palmer because when he says hike, football's such a fast game. If for a tenth of a second you're worried, oh, I'm going to get hit, like that changes you. I think Sanchez it just changed him over time. When you're from USC, you have a great offensive line. He was doing well. It was all good. He got hit, yes, obviously, but he wasn't worried about it. Once he got worried about it, it can't get out of his head. That is how Mark Sanchez will succeed here and any other team. If he stops worrying about getting hit. If the guy can just stay there and make throws and deliver while getting depleted, then we're talking. I said the same thing about Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck hasn't been hit yet. I want to see him get
Andrew
hit.
Luck has been hit.
Not like
Andrew Luck
but he
has been
hasn't gone
destroyed.
through years and years of getting abused. Sanchez has been hit.
Don't compare
man.
Sanchez to Luck.
I'm not comparing. I'm just saying, like, to prove it to me, you need to be able to get hit and then get back up. Sanchez was up when he got hit down. He never got back up. You know what I mean?
How
like,
about
he's
the
still on
elements
ground.
too? That's a big factor in this. If you look at Sanchez's record as a whole, he's been horrible in December. When he has to play outdoors at the Meadowlands, he doesn't have the arm strength. He doesn't. The game is too
small
fast
hands.
for
He
him.
fumbles a lot.
Small hands, too many turnovers. If you trade him to a team, Tampa Bay, nice weather out there, plays in a ton of domes. You trade him to a team who does play inside, or you trade him to a West Coast team where half of his games are out in the nice weather where he's comfortable with. Obviously, playing at USC, he's a different guy. The elements are different. The game is different, whether you believe it or not. I mean, that's something that, again, more excuses for Mark Sanchez, but that's something that you also have to take into it too. Like the Eli Manning is 6'5", 6'6", whatever he is, and got a huge arm. That's why he does well here. And Sanchez is 6'1", like you said, not that big of an arm, and he has a horrible record in December. So the elements are a big factor too.
He needs to find time in the pocket.
I think the issue is and I agree with what you guys are saying about getting hit and kind of getting that happy feet when you're just kind of waiting to get hit. And, well, I think what hurts him, and I'm not saying this to kind of, you're going to say I'm a Sanchez apologist.
No,
here,
that's fine.
But the year before, he had a very down offensive line. The year afterwards, he took hard hits to his receiving core. These are things now that you see back this year. His offensive line should be back intact. It should be improved. I'm expecting big things from the receiving core. That's why I want to give him this one last year. And I know I sat behind my computer at the Jets Insider typing the same exact thing a year ago, saying this is the last year I'm going to give him. This is the make or break year. But this is it. This is a contract year for a guy. How well do you see guys who have to perform well and do perform well in contract years? He's been working with Jeff Garcia. Take that for what it's worth. I'm going to assume that he's at least making the effort to try and go out there and better himself and do what's best for the team. You don't hear Tim Tebow going out working with a West Coast offense guy like Jeff Garcia, who's working out with Vinny Testaverde. You don't hear that about David Garrard or Greg McElroy. This is the guy who's coming out and actually coming out and making an attempt to do that.
Why though?
Why?
Wes, I agree with you, but you know what? I agree with you in a sense, but he does not deserve the role. He's going to have to earn it.
But who does?
He's going to have to earn it.
But who does deserve it over him right now?
Plenty of guys.
A draft pick, David Garrard, whoever outperforms him fairly in competition, that's who deserves it.
Right
hold
now,
on.
who
Not that
is
I'm
more
a huge
deserving
Tim Tebow
of a
fan, but why doesn't Tim Tebow deserve a shot? He didn't get a shot.
I think that's the guy who's most deserving of anyone. I think you're right. I think you're on there.
got a shot and he was pitiful, worse than Sanchez.
Tebow's getting.
If Garrard is healthy, he's going to beat Sanchez in camp. Absolutely. If he is healthy, there is not a question in my mind that David Garrard.
That's a big if that you're throwing out there, and you have to agree with it.
But there's a point. Beating out Tannehill.
But there's
clearly.
But he didn't.
But then he got hurt.
But he didn't. But then he got hurt. Exactly.
Who are you going to invest with? Who do you want to invest with in the future and the now? It's right now. Who do you invest with? We've invested with Sanchez. The guy has gotten everyone fired. He almost got my mom fired from her freaking job at
Maybe
wherever.
they deserve to be fired.
The guy got
them.
No. Mark Sanchez single-handedly got like 5 different
NFL. Is not a good offensive coordinator.
Mark Sanchez has gotten 5 to 6 NFL people, whether they're coaches, players, fired. I don't know if you want to bring in Mason,
they have no responsibility.
You want to bring in Sperano. You want to bring in
but they're not taking any responsibility in that. It's all Mark Sanchez's fault.
Listen, you're the quarterback.
Sorry, but you have to control your own destiny.
There is no doubt in my mind this guy.
If you're not,
hey, Nick knows somebody. Sorry to break an insider that you have, but Nick knows someone who said Sanchez used to complain about what's his name from the offensive coordinator from St. Louis all the time.
Schottenheimer.
Yeah,
he's awful.
He used to complain, but that's the type of guy he is. You complain about him.
Yeah,
but we're fans. We're not. If you like, it's just the type of guy he is. If he doesn't like you, he complain about you, and then he'll get you fired. That's what he did.
Let me ask you
There's no doubt in my mind. All these guys on offense left.
What your boss is doing, and if you don't agree, and you deep down you know what your boss is doing is not going to work, are you going to complain to your coworkers and your peers about it? Yes,
not
you
after.
are. Yes, you are.
No,
the difference is that this is a public thing.
He succeeded with that system.
You complain about your own marketing boss all the time, Frank.
First of all, I don't work there anymore.
I said you're old.
But
you're
yes,
old
but you know what?
boss.
Do you know what I do about it though? I go and I find ways to better myself. Okay, I don't complain and try to get someone like whatever the case may be. It's a different situation because they work together rather than someone's working for somebody else. The Jets are more invested in Sanchez than they are Schottenheimer, so that situation's a little bit different. But my point isn't that, you know, he got guys fired or whatever. My point is we're investing so much in this guy named Mark Sanchez. There's a ton of quarterbacks out there. Yeah. Go find one and invest 4 damn years with that person. Invest time with Tebow. If you should invest time with Tebow, a guy who wins, who's not going to be a bitch in the pocket like Mark Sanchez is. This is football here. Like, this isn't about anything other than football, winning, scoring touchdowns. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And yet, and Wes, like you said, like it's you're gonna write it again. Like, it's like fool me once, fool me twice. It's like this is like fool me 4 times. This fool me 4, 5. I mean, we can blame the coordinators all we want. That's fine if it's year 1 or 2, but you're talking about like year 5 here. It's like it's time for somebody else to at least get a shot, or else you're just ultimately hurting your team.
3 out of his 5 years, he's gone into a transition where he's had to.
Do you think he had anything to do with that?
I think he has. We're literally, to do it, but
we're literally
don't you think that's tough to kind of go into it? Have
this
to
guy's
rework
sleeping
everything
with gold freaking
pillows.
He's sleeping with gold pillows. They'll do anything for Sanchez, this organization. Are you kidding me? He has Woody Johnson by a leash, this guy. You think those 3 different offenses in 5 years wasn't Sanchez in a meeting with Woody Johnson saying something? There's no doubt in my mind.
No, plus, I'm not going to sit here and speculate that because neither you nor I know exactly what happened.
You can't fit a system around a guy who sucks ass. He sucks. You could do any system you want. You could have a system where you run the ball 99 times. The fact is, you're going to have to throw the ball when they're blitzing you, and they're going to bring one extra guy than you could block, and he can't see freaking Stephen Hill in the back of the end zone like this. I'm open, dude, because he sucks, and he's scared, and he's from USC, and you know how it is over there.
Get him.
They love to just have it easy. They don't like it hard because it's not hard, and when it's hard, they don't know how to deal with it because Papa Sanchez, Mr. Military Guy, isn't there patting you on the back after every game, giving you kisses and giving you cakes and crap.
Nice.
See, what it is, the guy.
I'm sorry, Wes, but I like.
What
you're 2 or 3. I'd be willing to hear this.
What do all the comeback victories mean?
I'm not.
What did all the fourth quarter comebacks mean for a guy who's not tough and not mentally weak? Who is mentally weak? What does that mean?
Yeah, but where are those gone, Wes?
You gotta stop.
Where has the team gone? That's my question. I mean, where has the team gone?
He's been there. It's not like he's never been in and out of the lineup.
Name me the running backs last year. Name me the receiving core last year.
It was
Name me the offensive line that was horrible for 2 years. 2 years ago.
It's not like they switch running backs
2 years ago. 2 years ago it wasn't horrible.
One position.
Holmes has been here for.
You got 3 Pro Bowlers. Not many teams have 3 bowlers on the offensive line. It's just another lame excuse.
It is.
It's another lame excuse.
3 Pro Bowlers. That is probably the most overrated Pro Bowl nominations I've ever seen. Yeah, Kershaw first.
Wes, you could have had this conversation with me 2 years ago. Now it's over.
I've had it. It's enough. One sack to Melvin Ingram last year.
No, I'm talking 2 years. Over the last 2 years, when this team has taken a nosedive, where has been the rest of this team around him? You've seen the defense go down. You've seen injuries go down.
Defense played unbelievable. The defense played out of their mind for 4 years.
Do you know who brought this team? Do you know the single reason why this team's been brought down to where they are to 6-10 is because of Mark Sanchez. It's nobody else. The quarterback's like 50% liable for wins and losses. He just says maybe more. It's the most important position in sports.
60% of all statistics are
defense is top of the league every year.
Name me a good quarterback, who's gone 6-10, or a pretty good quarterback.
Aaron Rodgers, 6-10.
6-10 when? His first year.
His second year.
His first year, but that's a first year. This guy's in his. I'm talking about. Let me rephrase that. 5th year quarterback.
And it wasn't.
Who was drafted
even
top
his first
5.
Year. He had 3-4 years in the league. 6-10 his first year.
Yeah, but he didn't play.
With a team that went to the playoffs under Brett Favre the year before.
That's what I'm saying. But I mean, the guy who has
experience. That's what I'm saying.
You have a
This is Aaron Rodgers that we're talking
Wesley,
about.
he didn't even play yet. That was his first year.
What about Matt
I'm not judging Sanchez 6-10 in his first year.
All these guys who come up and are victims of awful offensive lines. What about Cam Newton? Great quarterback. You like him. I like him. Had an awful year. 6-10. Had an awful offensive line.
Hold on.
What do you want to do?
Jay Cutler's got the worst offensive line in the league. Has he not shown sustainable? Has he not shown sustainable evidence that he's a good quarterback?
He's still touted as a good quarterback.
behind the most historically offensive line, bad offensive line ever.
MVP to throw to for the past 2.5 years. Say what you want about Santonio Holmes, he's no
and
bum.
the weapons is another lame excuse.
How many games has he missed?
Another lame excuse,
he
man.
missed last year.
Do you know what
4 games in the first year?
Do you know what quarterbacks do when
one full season?
Do you know what quarterbacks do with when Wayne Hunter's there? Do you know what a quarterback should do? They should try ways to dodge the defensive end in the process. So you say hike and you see someone, give a little head fake, go right, go left, like Aaron Rodgers does, like Ben, like some of these good quarterbacks do. Like, try to just make the guy miss. Mark Sanchez did not make one damn defensive end that entire year. You can look at the film. Go look at it. Wayne Hunter, he did not make that guy that DN miss one time.
No extension of the play.
Not one time.
Never extends the plays. Never gives the receivers a chance to get open. The play is just over.
Chicken with his head cut off and just throws it.
This is what I want to know. Where did that all go? Where did Sanchez's love for the game go? Where did those extending
love for the game? What love for the game?
In his first 2 years, he was
He's a con artist. He makes believe he loves the game. He's a liar. He's not a real. He's not. He doesn't care. Look at him talk. Oh yeah, you know, I was doing good this weekend.
Trust
but,
me,
you know.
Frank. I know all this.
He doesn't care about football. Look in his eyes. You could tell.
That he was a different guy. He was.
He's not a different guy.
Things were going well. It's much easier to act like you're this leader and you're this guy when when things are going well. And then he turns into this chameleon when things go bad. He's completely the worst thing to happen to the team. But that's what the biggest problem is with me is why is he going backwards? There's a problem.
Nick,
there.
there's no mental, not even physical toughness because he lacks that too. There's no mental toughness.
I don't think he lacks physical toughness.
Yeah, he does.
You can say what you want about Sanchez. I don't. He takes hits. He doesn't sit out games.
Physical toughness is what we were just talking about. Extending plays and shaking defensive linemen. This guy's going down on first contact with a fumble. That's not physical toughness to me.
I think that's not having a head for the game. I think that's more mental than it is physical. But
yeah, I agree.
There's a laundry list of Al Capone.
He can handle it, but
you want me to tell you something?
Is my question about Mark Sanchez.
Yes,
that's where I question.
There was an NFL Combine article written about Sanchez when he came out in 2009, and I actually read it. Now I wish I had it here, but I'm going to rephrase what he said. He said you'll never have a better leader or a guy who wants to win more than me. That's what he said in the article. When I read that, and I know what I know now, I just thought to myself, what a bullshitter. You're a liar. You don't want to win more than anybody else. You could just tell. You're not a leader. You don't even try to be a leader. Do you ever see? They all say that, but that's the point, though. That got him drafted. They know how to talk, like Barkley. The words. They know how to make people like them. It's just they have that charm about them that it doesn't matter. It's football. These interviews don't mean anything to me other than can you tell me how to do this X's and O, or do you even know what football is? Like, it's not about. It's not about what you say and how you look. It's about how you play the game. Mm-hmm. The guy.
Hello.
I mean, I love the interviews, but you got to go. You got to go further. I love the interviews. You got to go deeper than the cliche responses. Oh, you never found a better leader than me. The interviews are good. You got to look for. You got to look for the.
Do we remember the post?
You got to look for the rare interviews.
Post game. I mean, do we forget about that?
Yeah, he's moping and everything like that. Yeah, and I get
moping.
that.
The stuff he's saying is ridiculous. Like, he never puts blame on himself for anything.
That's my
never puts blame. He did like the last week of the season because he read all the articles out there saying, why is he not putting blame on himself? This guy's a selfish guy. Then he's like, oh, the next week he's like, yeah, it was my fault today. He's such a BSer. Like, I see that, dude. Like, I'm not stupid.
His excuse would be, it's on me to put the ball in a better place for them to catch it instead.
And then you have people. And then you have people saying, "Oh yeah, look, he did blame himself this week." Yeah, because the last 2 months, dude, there was in the paper how he doesn't blame himself. You think he doesn't read that? He's more in tune with the media.
Hans, I know you're out there watching, so call us or Skype us.
I'm not sure if that's the best interest for him.
I hope he doesn't read it anymore.
914-595-4871. Skype is at Zadalza.NY. We're going to move on to the next topic, guys, and is Tim Tebow being treated unfair, Frank?
Dude, I'm too. This is
a great segment.
Too hot right now.
Let's take Brenda's Skype.
Too hot things.
I think
Frank, do you want a minute to cool off for a second?
We'll give you a minute.
I should breathe a
You'll
little
cool
bit.
off with Brenda. Brenda's Skyping in, Frank, so talk to Brenda and cool off a little bit. How are you, Brenda?
Hey, Brenda.
That's steamy.
Hey, guys.
What's going on?
Not much.
Wesley just called you steamy, by the way. I don't know if you heard that.
That's 100% a compliment, by the way.
Yeah.
Wow, must be the beach living.
Yeah. We
Don't rub it in.
Right
It's like 40 degrees and raining out here.
Okay, it's like 80 something here at the beach.
Oh, stop it. Rub it
It's a
in.
beautiful day.
So Brenda,
on the Beach for the golf tournament with Tim Tebow.
Oh yeah, you were telling me
nice.
before the show. Oh no, she's still there. You were telling me before the show about the Tebow Foundation event going on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Let's see. Tomorrow is the 3rd annual Tim Tebow Celebrity Charity Foundation golf tournament. This is the 3rd year. I can tell you, I believe Von Miller's going to be there again this year, who, as you know, played with Tim with the Broncos.
Yeah.
Some of the guys from Duck Dynasty is going to be there tomorrow. And I am volunteering on the hospitality team, so I'll be greeting these guys as they come in.
Oh, awesome!
Nice.
You gonna get to meet Tim?
Probably so.
Nice.
You have to tweet us a picture with him if you can.
I will do
if you
that
get a
if I-
picture
if
with
I
him,
get a
let us
chance.
know.
So is that why you've been out on the beach working on the tan all week?
Yeah.
What are you gonna
Not
say
a
to
bad
Tim?
idea.
What's the first word?
You know, I don't know. I haven't even thought about what I would say to him. We have so
Don't
much
Sanchez under pressure.
in common as far as charity work and doing for other people. So that would probably be the first thing I would speak to him about. And I would probably mention that I'm going to be running to raise money for his foundation on June 1st.
So can people help you with that? Because I know we were talking to that. Well, let people who are interested in helping, let them know where to go and how to do it.
By the way, if you like Mark Sanchez, I don't know how you can listen to our show. Just throwing that out there. I'm sorry
I got
for the
your back,
Sanchez
Mark
fans.
Sanchez fan.
I'm
I
just
got
sorry.
Trying.
It's just
Wes is trying.
I love
gotta
the
give
Jets.
Wes
I'm not a big
props,
Sanchez
man.
fan.
You went 1-3 on that. That was
3 on
tough.
1, man. I can't take that much, you know?
I mean, you did a good job.
So, Britton, back to that. Sorry about it. Let everybody
okay.
know.
What they can do if you want to help me raise money, what I'm going to be doing is running a 15K, and of course 15 for Tim Tebow's number, which is a 9.3 mile run.
Damn, I haven't ran that in like 10 years.
And what you can do is you can, if you want to help me raise money, then you can send a check to the Tim Tebow Foundation. And when you do send a check, you need to let them know it's for Brenda's run.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
we're gonna send a tweet out, and
Yeah, I'm
you tweet
retweeting
something
one of
out
your
too.
tweets now.
Yeah, definitely.
Is
Okay,
that
I appreciate it, guys.
is that an open donation for type of donation? Is that just anything?
Yeah, is there a minimum amount that has to be submitted, or is anything that can be can anything be donated, or how can we get people to kind of help out and jump on board with this? Because of course, you always want to help out for a good charity cause.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, what you can do, you can just pick any amount that you want to send. You know, you send $10, say it's for Brenda's Run, and I'm just trying to raise funds because, as you know, there's just basically 5 different areas in which the Tim Tebow Foundation works, and one of them I know a lot of people were able to see is the kids he brought into each game, whether it was an away game or a home game. That had some kind of medical issue.
Awesome.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, Brenda,
Definitely.
tweet something out now because you're just on, obviously, and we'll retweet it and throw it up on the website and try and help. So this is next week, or is this weekend?
No, I'm going to run on June 1st.
Oh, June 1st.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
good. So there is some time. So good. We'll do that, and we'll get the word out, and we'll help spread it, and let us know. And of course, anything else we can do to help in terms of getting it out there.
That would be great. I appreciate you guys' support.
No problem, Bryn. I don't know if we asked you, but before we let you go, who do you want the Jets to draft this year? Anybody in mind on the defensive side of the ball?
You know, I'm still in the whole deal that I think we need to get rid of our 9th pick and really try to work more on rebuilding the team altogether, because I think what we really need is not necessarily a whole bunch of first-round picks. I think what we need is just more second and third-round picks to be
Guys
able
that
to
wanna
get
prove themselves.
just more people, more of a bigger
Quantity
number
over
of people instead of just that one
quantity
guy.
over quality this year, I think, is the way to go for sure. But any name out there, Bryn, before we let you go? Is there one guy you're kind of looking at, or not really?
You know, not really.
No.
There's not, anyone that I'm like going, wow, I think they're the person.
Right.
All right.
That's
well,
the general feeling of this draft.
yeah, that's true. Well, shoot that tweet out, Brenda, and we'll get it out there too. And best of luck.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Take care.
All right, take care.
All right, let's switch gears and get into the draft because we do have to go over the defensive side of the ball this week because we did do the Marty Madness last week on the offense, and once we're done this week, we'll throw it up on the website and we can kind of get some votes up and see who wins the.
Can I
Monday
just say
morning.
one last thing?
Yeah.
I don't want to come across as like I don't.
Too
I
late.
have I have something. No, I have something against. I mean, I have something personally against Mark Sanchez. I don't. Right. Anything I say about Sanchez, when I said the con artist comment, that was as a football player. I think he's
backing up. He's
no, I'm not backing up. He's a con artist football player. He acts.
No, it's never personal. Come on.
He acts as a quarterback, but he's not really a quarterback.
But you make all.
That's what I mean.
You're assassinating this guy's character
professionally,
and then you back up and you say that he's a liar and he could care about the game. And that
he's a liar with his job.
Man.
There's a ton of liars out there that are great fathers.
Own it, man. What do we say before the show every week? Own your opinions.
Own my opinion.
No backing up on it now, man. The road's already paved, man. You can't
professionally and private life and professional life are two different things. Mark Sanchez might be the best friend in the world. He might be a great father. He might be a great role model in his own sense, whatever. He might be great, do great things for the community. Not questioning that. What I'm questioning is how he comes across professionally as a quarterback. I think he lies about a lot of the things he says. I think he cons in the way he approaches the position to try to get people to accept him, team included, and I think he has been part of a unit that, whoever it is, that has gotten people fired because he thinks that it's not his fault that he sucks. It's Schottenheimer's fault that he sucks. It's Sperano's fault that he sucks. It's Derek Mason's fault. It's because Plax can't get off the line of scrimmage because the guy was locked up for a year. It's their fault that I'm bad. It's not my fault. Personally, I don't know, but professionally, he's a softie.
All right. Well, Frank has said his piece.
I just wanted to say that because I don't want to,
That's
I don't
as
like
close
to bash.
as to getting Frank to put his foot in his mouth as you're going to get. So I hope the fans enjoy that.
For me to call someone I've never met before a con artist is ridiculous. I would never call someone that.
Frank,
I never met the guy.
Highlights of that apology, right? You'll never.
That's fine. I don't want to. I don't know the guy. I don't like judging people I have never met before because it happens to me and I don't like it.
Okay, well, let's move on. We've
let's get into
dead
the
horse enough already.
I'm just saying.
So we'll move on to the what do we got next?
So what
the
really
Jets
matters?
Invitees.
Yeah, we have. If it's up on the website, Flight 5 Live.
Football, why not?
So far confirmed, the Jets. They're allowed 30 pre-draft visits with these players, so the guys come into Florham Park. You have Geno Smith, E.J. Manuel, Zach Dicer, and Alex Carter at quarterback, Le'Veon Bell, Christine Michael, Cordarrelle Patterson, Tavon Austin Bill, Odea Bougie, the tackle from Virginia, Lane Johnson, Brian Winters, Star Latulier, William Campbell, Marcus Hunt, Travis Chapelier, who I hear Rex is very high on, Deion Jordan, Kenny Vaccaro, D. Milner, Jonathan Cyprin, DJ Swearinger, and Matt Elam as some of the names so far who the Jets have visited with. They will visit with more. I hear Chance Warmack is another guy who they will be bringing in, as well as I forgot the linebacker's name from Georgia. Another, not Ogletree Jones. No, another
Minter?
one. It's slipping my mind
Minter's
right now. I'll
LSU.
remember as we get in, but I find it interesting because there was a list of last year's 2012 pre-draft visits, and as you know, the Jets had, I believe, 7 picks or 8 picks last year, and 5 of the guys who they visited with, the Jets went on to the draft. You have Antonio Allen, Josh Bush, Quentin Coples, Demario Davis, and Stephen Hill. Also, they brought West Virginia linebacker Bruce Irvin in for 2 visits before the draft.
Really?
And he was selected, I think, 1 pick before Coples. And if you do remember, Rex said he was going to draft Irvin.
That was
if
the guy.
Irvin was there at 16, we would have had Irvin and not Coples.
Multiple interviews with Irvin.
Right.
Who would you rather have now?
Much like Christian Michael.
I'm all about
Christine
like
Michael.
the complete player.
Who would
I'd
you
rather
have,
have a guy
Coples or
like
Irvin?
Coples,
Who
absolutely.
would you rather have?
I like Coples. I like to see what he can do. Irvin was great. I think
Yeah,
he
I like
burst
Coples.
very well, though.
Yeah.
Irvin had a
Just
great
wondering.
first year, and Seattle really benefited from that pick. So they picked Irvin there, whereas Rex said that would have been the pick if he slipped to 16 over Coples. So, and also if you look back, Coples was brought in for a workout on the 18th or 19th of April, which is kind of late for pre-draft workouts because you only have less than a week to prep for the draft. So the Jets did bring him on a late visit because apparently, and Chris Nimbley from Jets Insider wrote this article, and it was great. I tweeted it the other day. The Jets heard, and the word throughout the NFL draft was that Coples was slipping down boards. If you remember, Coples was supposed to be a top 10 pick last year.
Yep.
But his tape from the previous year wasn't as good as when in his
he had
junior
a down
season,
senior year.
and he slipped, and he really didn't
Final
fit
year.
or have that position. He is playing multiple positions on the line. The Jets thought that they could stand him up. It doesn't seem like they're going to do that, but they brought him in for a late visit. So obviously the interest, they're not just bringing these guys in just to bring them in, just because they have to. But obviously there's interest, but there's also smoke screens. And you look at a guy who I think right off the bat, I think a guy like a Lane Johnson and a D. Milner could be looked at as 2 guys who the Jets are bringing in who you can call a smokescreen. They, the Dolphins and the Chargers who pick behind the Jets are rumored to be very interested in Lane Johnson. So he's a guy you could say the Jets are going to kind of ramp up and say, oh yeah, we're very interested in Lane Johnson to hopefully to move back in the draft because the Jets want to, and so does everybody every year. But is there anybody on this list, guys? And you could start right off the bat with the lack of linebackers who are being brought in, knowing that the Jets have a huge hole. Is there somebody on this list that really sparks your interest, or you're like the Jets are really got to go out and get this guy? You got anyone, Bill?
I think you made a good point about Copels and how that was kind of like a last minute interview, more of like a real private workout. I remember Rex went down to UNC and really worked him out. So I think you see that there's a lack of linebackers here, like you say, but don't forget we still have 2 weeks to go, and I think the guys that we're going to meet with in these next coming weeks is really at the meat of who we're really focusing in on. So I think that's why it's lacking in linebackers and even running backs.
Yeah,
I got someone, and it's your boy Nick. I'm a big Le'Veon Bell fan, but I don't want to, I would love him, but whatever. Marcus Hunt, it's great player for the Jets. I think him and Rex, they'd fit well together. He's very tough. He's big. He makes plays. He has that, I don't like comparing anyone to the guy from Houston, the J.J. Watt,
right,
but
the guy's a beast.
Yeah, you can't compare anyone to that.
It's ridiculous.
What I do like is his toughness, and I think if you put him on the same line as a Copels and Wilkerson, then you're talking about a line similar to what the Panthers had in their prime, and that line took them, that D line, when they had
Peppers,
Jenkins, Buckner,
Rucker.
Rucker, yeah,
that's the guy.
Mike Rucker. Oh yeah,
Mike Rucker. Yeah, they were freaking good, man, and that team helped them get to a Super Bowl with a Delhomme. So it's just interesting. I think Marcus Hunt's very interesting, and I really think we're going to draft this guy. I have a weird feeling. I mean, we're bringing him in for visits. Rex is big on him, so I think he could potentially be someone that fills that void of DeVito and that pace role.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What do you got? What's that, Wes?
I think what sticks out to me is the glaring amount of defensive backs that they brought in. I think you look back to last year. That was arguably the best position on the defense, the best area on the defense for them. I mean, you could make an argument and say the front seven, the front four defensive line was really good, and it was a lot to do with Wilkerson and Copels that we already mentioned. But you look at you have you bring in DeJuan Landry right now, Jaquan Jarrett. You drafted 2 safeties. You're bringing in guys like Vaccaro, Cyprian, DJ Swearinger, Matt Elam. These are 4 safeties right here that you're going to be spending one of your top picks on. I think that's a lot to kind of send. I'm kind of looking at that as that smoke screen, as you're mentioning. It's getting pretty smoky in here. With all these defensive backs, it's just kind of, I think it's trying to throwing people off a little bit. I think it could also speak to the fact that whether they're trying to get rid of Darrelle Revis or not, you look at where they're looking for a possible replacement to bring in.
You know what I think these safeties all have in common, and we're going to get into that. I actually did the defensive back region of our Final Four, Marty Madness, but these safeties are so good coming off the edge. Vaccaro, Swearinger, Cyprian. I like Sean Williams, but there's a ton of them. They're so good coming off the edge that with the void at outside linebacker, Rex might want to stockpile some safeties, have them come up in the box and blitz from different areas. I mean,
that's a great point.
You know what I mean? Rex can utilize these big safeties. I mean, you look at Elam, that dude can knock people around. Vaccaro hits people. All these safeties in this draft, surprisingly enough, are very quick, athletic, fast, and they hit like trucks, man. So I think Rex is loving it.
Especially for that.
Oh my God, there are. That's why the Jets might have got rid of Landry. There's a ton of potentials like that.
Especially for that 46 front. And absolutely, that makes sense.
The name that slipped my mind before, guys, is Cornelius Washington, the Georgia linebacker, who Tony Pauline tweeted that the Jets have serious interest for that pass rusher. Instead of getting someone maybe in the first or second, they can get a guy like Washington in the 3rd, 4th round and fill that void that way. But another guy who I mentioned before, a defensive lineman, Travis Chapelier, I think that's how you pronounce his name, from Northwest Missouri. He's a guy who I hear that Rex is really big on, so that's a guy that wouldn't shock me in terms of a guy who the Jets are really looking into on the low. That's a guy who that in the 4th or 5th or 6th round, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on the Jets. So there's always a few names like that where you see guys like, oh, that guy's going to be a Jet. You just kind of get that feeling, and if you just really listen to what's going on. But I like seeing that these are some good names on this list. There's no, I wouldn't be like, oh, I don't want him. But Marcus Hunt is a guy, Frank, like you said. But let's get into the Marty Madness breakdown here. We're not going to go full into every position or every matchup as we did last week, but I'll kind of start it off, guys, here. And if you want to throw up, we got the bracket on flight5live.com. I had Star Latulier against Cornelius Washington, and I was very tempted to put Washington because I like the value that you can get him later. So this was my favorite matchup here, as well as C.O. Moore against Vakari Rambo in the next round. I love C.O. Moore as a 4th or 5th-ish round pick for the Jets, an inside linebacker who could provide some depth right away. Also play on special teams, and maybe if you want to move Demario Davis outside. I had, though, in my final to get to
in the
fourth
Carl Dunbar bracket
was Arthur Brown against a C.O. Moore. I do like Arthur Brown a lot, but C.O. Moore is a guy that breaks it out of the Carl Dunbar region.
Hey.
C.O. Moore comes into the Final Four from my vote. So that was my favorite matchup, the Moore versus Bakari Rambo, because I do like both of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we're going to move over to the Rex Ryan bracket, I had that because Rex Ryan is a very smart man, and as you all know, I am as well, so it only makes sense to do so. But if you throw up the Rex Ryan bracket real quick, you have the #1 overall seed Ezekiel Ansah, who I'm not too high on, falling down to the brother of Vernon Golston, William Golston.
No way! Are you kidding me?
I thought we weren't allowed to say that.
Dude, where were you? Where were you before this show?
I was
You were on something.
Yeah, man, I was out.
You were
in the
huff,
horse
pass.
barn, cutting off horseshoes, making glue out of them. But anyway, whatever the case, that's a 16 seed over 1. That's the matchup that I want to talk about. But the main guy who comes out of this is Drew from Jersey's boy, his little man crush. He loves Deion Jordan. I like Deion Jordan as well. You have the huge weakness at linebacker that's still a glaring opposition right now. I believe you either have Ricky Sapp or Garrett McIntyre starting opposite
Nick's boy,
Antoine
Garrett
Barnes.
McIntyre. Nick
Yeah,
loves
yeah,
him.
he's
So having Antoine Barnes in there, Deion Jordan, Ricky Sapp, Garrett McIntyre as those DPRs, I think that's something that could work out well for the Jets.
Nice. Well, my region was Mr. Tim McDonald. I love McDonald's. It was that region. I'm not gonna really get much into it. Sean Williams from Georgia, the 15 seed, Florida Gulf coasting to the finals against David Amerson. David Amerson's awesome. If you guys want someone that's kind of like Cromartie, look at David Amerson. This guy had a ridiculous amount of turnovers throughout his NC State tenure, and that's what I want for this Jets team. I want guys that are ball hawks, that find their way to the ball. He had 13 picks as a junior, which was second in BCS history, and 5 as a senior. He's just ridiculous. And up against Sean Williams, sleeper out of Georgia. You want to talk about someone that is LaRon Landry-like in hitting? Sean Williams is. Not to mention the guy had 98 tackles last year. He averaged 8 or more tackles against ranked opponents for Georgia. I think a lot of what Georgia did defensively was him. Not to mention, he won the True Grit Award, Sean Williams, on the Georgia team for his toughness and pure determination 2 years in a row. He called his own defensive players soft. They were too soft. You're talking about a guy that's going to come there when Landry's time is kind of done. He's going to be able to take over that strong safety with Rex and just kill it. I have the 15 seed Sean Williams beating David Amerson, and I love this kid, man. He's legit.
Okay. The Brian Van Gorder region. V is for value here. V is for value. I was so lucky to have Jarvis Jones and Barcavius Mingo in my bracket.
It's tough.
But again, V is for value here. And Jamie Collins from Southern Mississippi, a guy we can get in the second round. I love him. He's the real complete. I mean, he gets to the edge quick. He can stop that option pass. Very good in coverage. Very similar to I don't want to devalue him and say a poor man's Deion Jordan, but he plays a little bit like Deion Jordan there. So Jamie Collins is a name to look out for. You know, turn on the tape and you'll be surprised. And then my game is Brandon Jenkins over losing to Manti Te'o. Yeah, we all know that name. But Brandon Jenkins is a guy who unfortunately has been riddled by injuries, but he's got first-round talent. He is a guy that he's going to go in the 6th and 7th round, and he's a guy that can, if God's on his side and he stays healthy, he can shock in a couple years. So Brandon Jenkins from Florida State, replaced by Bjorn Warner this year, but he was the guy before Bjorn.
So to wrap it up, we got a cool graphic up there too. I'm looking at it's C.O. Moore out of mine. Again, you guys can go on flight5live.com and vote for the Final Fours for offense and defense.
That'll be up next week.
next week. Sorry, C.O. Moore, Deion Jordan, Jamie Collins, and Sean Williams. Those are four. I mean, those are four reasonable draft picks for the Jets, believe it or not, round wise.
Seemingly get everyone.
Yeah,
then,
if
right?
we want to just go with nobody on offense again, so
Oh, yeah.
who really cares? We
Which
only
could
ranked
happen on the Rex
106.
Ryan team.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you don't
Good
want to
point.
rule that out completely.
So before
Offense,
we get
guys,
to, we take it
offense
to
in
the
the first
tweeter.
round.
Let's pay some bills, Frank, and we'll go to break real quick with a word from Lauricia or SA Cafe, and then a nice Remax commercial, and we'll come back and go to the tweeter. So Frank,
Very
take
quick.
us to
Remix.
Al tuo bar chiedi espresso Optimum. Gusto piano, metà caffeina. Optimum, il gusto di prenderne un altro.
You know you love that commercial.
I love that.
That's my voice. Optimum. Yeah. If you guys want some great coffee products, check out Cafe SA or SA Cafe. It's spelled ESSE, and then Cafe is CAFFE.IT. Combine the two words, .it. It's great stuff. Espresso is awesome, and it is not as crash sensitive as coffee, so you'll be able to maneuver around 6 o'clock and not just pass out on your couch like the real fatty you are.
Yeah, well done as always, Frank. And I love the commercial. I got to give a shout out though to bring it back to life over here. Nicole Esther is a sales associate with Remax Country Realty, whose business is built on the promise of exceptional customer service. Whether you're selling your home or searching for that special place to call your own, you deserve to work with someone you trust. Interested in buying or selling, Nicole does it all. So make sure to ask Nicole about her proven marketing plan so she can provide you the maximum amount of exposure for your home. Contact Nicole with your needs and let her get you started today on your next real estate purchase or sale. The number to call is 845-590-7959. Log on to NicoleEsther.com. That's NicoleEsther, or send her a tweet at NJRealtorNIC. Let's go Jets, guys. Let's go to the tweeter right now.
Yay!
To the tweeter.
The first tweeter this week comes from our friend Mr. Phil Sullivan at Jet Nation. Great site, jetnation.com. But I think Jet Nation and Phil has been doing something with Wes before the show, because he tweets, here's another thought. Sanchez wins the starting job back and leads the Jets to the playoffs this season. Here's another thought. Doubt it. Next one.
Joe, you killed that. You just killed that.
Tweet number
You
2.
killed that.
Frank, I want you to take this one. I know you love it.
Tweet numero dos. It's my boy, Paulie Bruzy. What is good, brother?
Bruzies.
Yep, Bruzy, man. I love him. He goes, Revis just posted a pic with a Raptors hat on. Looks like he's going to the NBA Jets. Hey, man, I love it. Anytime Revis is wearing another team's hat, just tweet out that he's going to that team because it's funny, and I love you, Paulie Bruzy. You're the man. Shout-outs.
Next one comes from our friends at Turn on the Jets, another great site, who will be at the U Stadium NFL Draft event and app launch on the 25th.
Man,
Draft night. Get your tickets, guys. UStadiumNFL.eventbrite.com. Mo Wilkerson, Demario Davis, Damian Woody, Donald Strickland, Prince and Mukamura, and some other special guests. Premium open bar, food, fun, giveways. Frank will be there making fun of Sanchez all night.
Giving out
Wes
raffle
will be
tickets.
There. Yeah, Wes will
I'll be there
crying
huffing
about
blue
Sanchez.
with Jets Nation.
Yes.
And we are giving away, we're going to give away some VIP tickets so you
Yes,
can
stay
win
tuned.
a seat with Mr. Mo
Next
and
week.
company. Yep.
Next week.
You can go to
Ooh,
a
baby.
with Mo and try and out-eat Mo and Damian Woody. I doubt it'll happen, but you can give it a shot.
Two
We won't
nice
have
plates.
ambulances on board.
Full plates.
I'm putting my money on Nick and Frank out eating Mo and what, Demario? Is that
No,
what you're saying?
Damian
Demo?
Woody,
Oh,
man.
Big Woody.
Woody
Oh,
loves
no.
shrimp.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. Shrimp on the
Forget
grill.
about it.
Nice
Yep.
size plates.
Peel and eat
Nice
shrimp though,
plates.
because that puts a little work in it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? If you
Yeah,
got those
that's
stubby
true.
fingers, that may be kind of tough to
I
peel.
do.
them.
I have really sausage fingers. Look.
No, come on.
Anyway, the next tweet comes from Turn on the Jets.
You didn't even read out his tweet.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I'm reading it now. Kotri is and Frank will like this because, believe it or not, Frank's wearing a Kotri jersey over there if you can't see it or not. Kotri is
good
arguably
old
my
days.
all-time favorite Jets wide receiver. So smart, crafty, and tough. Always underappreciated here. Hashtag Jets. I think we all totally agree with that.
100%.
Led the team in receiving from 08 to 06 to
Yeah,
08.
it's true. There's nobody who like the Jets fan base can come to an agreement on that they love on and off the field, even after he left than the Kotri.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think you look at Wayne Corbett as another
yeah.
guy. One of
Thank you,
those
Wes.
guys
You always
who
got to show me up,
loved.
Wes.
No, I'm just.
If he was gonna do it, I was. If he
Wes
didn't do it, I was gonna do it.
You
so.
guys
He wants to
ganged
host.
up on me all night. All right, give me my moment here.
That's fine. That's fine. You can get away with that one. And last one, this comes from A. Jacobson 21. He says, Jets franchise is turning into a retirement home. Jeff Garcia, #, hashtag game changer. Mr. Jacobson, I'm not sure if you misread the the article, but Jeff Garcia wasn't coming here to play quarterback.
He's making a joke
This is
out of
what I
it.
like about him. I think he's taking a leap of faith, saying, "Hey, if this guy's teaching Mark Sanchez how to run the offense, why doesn't he just run the offense, save himself a little bit of time, save everybody a little bit of hassle, save us 40 minutes of arguing, and just get Garcia in there?"
I mean,
I like
might
it.
as well.
like it.
Anyway, we are pretty much out of time. I know we touched on the DeJuan Landry signing, but what a great deal. Another really good, cheap deal.
Yes.
2
I
year,
love that it
$3
was a
million.
2-year deal. So the Jets did get another great deal and brought in Laron's older brother, who will join us next week on the show. So I wanted to plug that.
Yeah,
DeJuan
baby.
will be here on the show, not in studio because Bill won't allow him on the couch, but he will call
My
in
couch.
and speak with the 5 and Live crew. So shout out to the Landry brothers, and shout out to all you for putting up with our fighting tonight. And Brenda, of course, for Skyping in, the tweeters and everything, and the people who took to the tweeter and kind of took them and put them out there. Shout outs to you guys. Get your tickets, UStadium, NFL.eventbrite.com. Keep it to the tweeter and flight5live.com all week. Sign us off, Wes.
Hey, it's time to separate the platinum from the bronze. That butter soft-ish from the leather on the fawns. I wasn't ready for that, okay?
That's why I
You
did
didn't
it,
let
'cause I
me
saw
say
you
my rap
dozing.
lyric. I usually have it written
And shout out
down.
to Jeff Garcia. You're a real
Yes.
cutie.
Yes.
He's really hot.
He's hot.
Yeah, he's hot. HAWT hot. So yeah, I love Jeff
Is he as
Garcia.
hot as Kerry Rhodes?
It's close.
Is he as hot
Imagine
as his wife?
Jeff Garcia and Kerry Rhodes sitting in a tree. K-I-S.
Uh-oh. Nick is real upset.
Nick is
right
really nervous. Nick, what do you think about that report that Kerry Rhodes may have
He
some
already says he's
sexual relations with his own,
What was that?
Whoa.
What was that?
private?
You're spreading
Was that-
false
was that
information.
I'm not
TMZ
spreading it. Maybe a takeout wrote
The
an
National
article on it.
Enquirer.
It's fine.
Which
Listen,
one
man,
was
you
that?
teach their own. But I'm just saying, what do you think about that? He's your boy.
Absolutely. To each their own, and he already said that he's not. Not if he was, that there's a problem with that, but he said he wasn't.
Not that
the
there's anything
report
wrong
is
with that.
false. So enjoy your weekend, guys. Enjoy the Masters. Tiger's about to come back and win it. I know.
Yeah, baby, let's go.
Give me that Bubba.
See ya.